the next part of the Toitū Tūroa part of the deed is in relation to the Raukūmara. So special bespoke arrangements have been made in regards to the Raukūmara. As we know, the Raukūmara inland has been on the brink of ecological collapse because of its mismanagement over a number of years. And so there's already been a lot of work undertaken, particularly by the Raukūmara Paimaunga project, to enhance and protect the health of the Raukūmara going forward. This deed of settlement looks to really solidify those arrangements and commit the Crown to ongoing arrangements in regards to the management and regulation of the Raukūmara. That's because obviously there's a state of repair that needs to be undertaken immediately, and also because none of us want to see this ever happen again, that our ngāhere is on the brink of ecological collapse. So some protective measures have been negotiated to ensure that doesn't happen again, and that we're able to urgently intervene with the Raukūmara to restore it back to much better health. The most critical of the Raukūmara arrangements is that the Raukūmara will now come under newly created via this treaty settlement, if it all goes through, will create a Raukūmara conservation management area where dedicated conservation management strategy will be developed. A partnership between ourselves, Ngā Hapū, who obviously also share part of the Raukūmara with us, and the Department of Conservation to sit on the governance board that sets now a new conservation management strategy exclusively for the Raukūmara. So the Raukūmara will be its own area that will be managed under its own strategy. That board with two iwi and the Crown on it will then set the strategy for all of the Raukūmara. So that'll be a conservation management strategy. It'll drop down from there into a conservation management plan, and then that plan will look to implement it on the ground in terms of bespoke arrangements that will be beneficial to the restoration of the Raukūmara. Part of the protective measures that we've looked to negotiate for the Raukūmara also includes the fact that we've looked to have integrated management over the Raukūmara and partner with Ngā Hapū to do that, because the environment and the taiao don't tend to make hard and fast lines and boundaries on maps the same way that human beings do, and so it needs to be managed as an integrated whole in order for us to have any shot at restoring the Raukūmara back to optimum health. The Raukūmara joint body that's responsible for the governance of this new arrangement will have 2 members from Apanui, 2 members from Ngā Hapū, 2 members appointed by the Director General of Conservation, so representing DOC. That group will be known as Te Kaiwhakahaere Takirua mo te Raukūmara. They'll have a certain set number of functions. One is to prepare the new Raukūmara conservation management strategy over the Raukūmara and the wider sort of East Cape alongside the Director General. So we're expecting that to be very iwi-led in the way the perspectives and the values will come through that conservation management strategy. That group will be responsible for performing functions in relation to the preparation and approval of the conservation management plan. So you get a conservation management strategy, and that drops down into a conservation management plan. So this group will still have some role in ensuring alignment between the strategy and the plan. That group will also issue an annual statement of priorities to the Director General of DOC in relation to the Raukūmara. That annual set of priorities is around strategically what the iwi would want prioritised through the Raukūmara over that period of time. Importantly, that group also has a role in approving the annual operation plans prepared by the Director General in relation to the Raukūmara. So this is the sort of double check and balance. So having set the high-level strategy and dropping that down into a conservation management plan and communicating those strategic priorities over to the Director General, the Director General then needs to essentially report back and say this is what we're going to do with that. And this group has a role in approving the annual operation plan in relation to the Raukūmara. And that group would also perform decision-making functions that are delegated by the Minister of Conservation to that governance board in relation to the Raukūmara. So we're, I guess, looking for that Raukūmara arrangement to create a much more collaborative and iwi-facing management for the Raukūmara going forward, because the days of the iwi not having participation into that space need to be over, because we're now looking at the state of the Raukūmara and know the dangers of keeping iwi out of the decision making in relation to our taonga. So there will be a continuation of the work that's already started with Raukūmara Pai Maunga, and an entrenchment of that work and that arrangement going forward, and really just clarifying up and creating the legal mechanisms we need to support that ongoing work. And also, before, we've been knocking on DOC's door and saying we think this is a good idea because our ngahere is on the brink of collapse and we think you're all partially responsible for that. Now, through the arrangements that will come through the deed of settlement, it won't be a matter of knocking on their door and asking them if they'd please listen to us. It's a matter of saying we're setting the strategy alongside Ngāti Porou and in collaboration with the Director General of DOC to say this is what the Raukūmara needs of us at this point in time. So a stronger entrenchment of our position and our voice into those spaces.